Yeah, this is cool. This is going to be cool. I'm glad you guys came on.
Yeah, so it was just a bit stressful.
What was, oh, you mean trying to get hooked up?
Technology won on that one.
Well, I think when you're in our age group, technology is a viable excuse at times.
I use it often.
So where are you guys located at?
We're in North Yorkshire in England.
Wow. Yeah. And I've seen you, Kathy, around for a long, long time.
Yeah. I've been following you since 2015.
Yeah, it's a long time. Yeah. That's a long time in the Ascension. We got about 20 people in the house. We're starting a little late, so we'll give them a couple more. Yeah, I remember seeing you, connecting with you. And then, you know, because so much stuff is going on, I couldn't really make the connection. But I know we had a conversation or messages about your relationship with Michael.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say it's been quite a long story and quite an eventful story.
Yeah.
Between meeting Cathryn and the journey that we're on now, that we're sharing together. Wow.
So how long have you guys known each other in the physical?
Since 1991.
Okay. So when you guys met, were y'all awake, or was there any of that stuff going on?
We weren't fully aware of it at that time, but it happened pretty quickly after that. When we got together, we refound each other.
Oh, really? Wow.
But then it took another 20 years until we did get properly together.
Okay, so that sounds interesting. That sounds real interesting. Okay. So you come together in 1991, and how was that?
It was like a brief fling, really. We met on a training course, and it wasn't meant to be at the time. So we went our separate ways and found each other again in 2010.
So that was what, 20 years?
20 years.
So did you guys both, like, you know, get married and, you know, get a job and have kids and all that stuff? And then, or was it, how did that?
Yeah, we both were married and had children.
Okay.
Gotcha. And when we got together in 2010, they're all grown up.
Convenient.
And Mike was on the other side of the country. And in 2011, I moved over to be with him for a few years. And then I had a grandchild and I moved back to North Yorkshire in 2015. And then Mike followed me and we got married in 2017.
Wow. So, yeah. So Michael, what's like it sounds like you've had a very, very diverse and kind of powerful connection. What stands out for you?
We, I think if we were to look at our journeys separately from when we were younger, when we were kids, and look at our histories then brought us together in our later years. And it's been an interesting journey since. It's almost as if joining together, then the journey has picked up its pace and we've woke up more and we're doing more exciting things and get a lot of guidance of what to do and what we do and where we should stay away from, and we follow that guidance.
Wow. So would you say that you kind of woke up together or became aware of other dimensions and such together, or received downloads together, or had divine episodes together? I mean, you know, a lot of people come on here and talk about their individual experiences, but you don't see too often a couple doing it.
Well, I think our background and our upbringings actually contributed to where we are now, and it was when we came together as adults now in our when we first met, we started to grow and develop, and we've continued to grow and develop, and you could say that we are awake and we're aware of lots of things that are going on, and we have guides that help us to find out information and where to travel, and the traveling that we do brings us together and bonds us as well.
What do you mean by what do you mean by traveling that you do?
Well, we if I give you an example, we've done America from coast to coast.
Okay.
And we did that in 2 trips, but those trips started with us being told by a guide, one of our guides, that this is the journey you have to take. And we were told really sort of quite nebulously where we needed to go, but we weren't really told really what we were going to find. So when we followed the guidance, and Cathryn planned the route 3, 4, 6 months in planning, and we spent a lot of time and money to go over to America twice and to make those journeys, and we grew even more, didn't we?
Yeah, we've also had experiences here in this country and in Scotland, so we get given information or get place names to go to that we know we're going to find something or discover something, and it's ancient wisdom that we discover. So we're guided by a tribe, Native American tribe, who like merge with us, or merge with Mike, and they give us constant guidance and tell us certain places we need to go. And I've documented all the journeys that we've taken, and I'm writing them up as books.
Wow.
I'm publishing the second book, hopefully the end of this week. So
you already have some of these adventures in writing published?
We have one from the first journey we took was 2018. That was the first one in America. And we traveled from Roanoke Island in North Carolina. Okay. And we traveled across 10 states and went eventually up into Montana, and then went up into the Rocky Mountains in Alberta, to where we were following in the footsteps of some peaceful warriors who are the tribe that guide us. And they did a journey from 1583 to 1785 over a 200-year period. And we followed their footsteps, going to lots of the places where they went, and where they ended up in the mountains in a cave. So that was the first journey that we did. And then we went back in 2019 for 4 weeks, where we did Idaho, Oregon, and North Carolina, going down to Mount Shasta. And that's the book I'm writing now. I'm just finishing editing it, about the experiences. So we met with elders and ancients, which you would suppose say in spirit form, that we met at certain locations, and they gave us information. And a lot of it is about the prophecies, and about helping to bring those out into the public, that more people are aware of the prophecies and what is being predicted to happen. This has been predicted through the generations is going to come to fruition.
Wow. So I just want to understand this. So you guys connected to a Native American tribe, and that Native American tribe lived in the 1500s, and you've got this connection. You're getting this intel. You're told where to go, and it sounds like, among other things, you have these rendezvous or encounters with them, or masters, uh, and and are they translucent? Is it
Yeah.
strictly clairsentient? Okay, so they are. You can actually see. Yeah.
Well, Mike sees them. I sense them.
Yes. Okay.
But we're part of the tribe as well. It's going to get quite quite intense what we tell you, but we're members of the tribe, and
Yes.
the travel through time and space.
Yes.
So the star beings that merge with this Native American tribe, and we've been involved in things in lots of different time periods.
So have you experienced time travel
Yeah,
together?
yeah. In dream state, in our etheric bodies.
And do you, like, what's the relationship between the two of you? I mean, in terms of, like, are you aware of your light bodies? Are you
Yeah.
on the path of, not that there's a right or wrong, but I mean, are you experiencing like herioscamos and the physical and the non-physical integrating together, and all that comes with it? Is that part of your journey as well?
It's not really something. We think of things in very simple terms, and I've listened to a lot of things you've talked about, but we keep it, when you think about the Native American way of life, we keep it very simple. We keep it very simple language, and we've always been together.
Yes.
Because we're star beings that have come here to help.
Yeah. So you're kind of over the wow, and you're living the experience. You're obviously very connected. You can just tell by the energy that comes off of you both, just like you're one person.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you're very cognizant of the mission that you just mentioned. So when you talked about the mission, and others talk about the mission, and then you also mentioned the word prophecies, which others talk about, I think that you guys have a pretty good perspective where you can actually merge those two and make them a little more simple, like you said, in the Native American way. So what kind of information have you learned during this time in terms of prophecy, in terms of galactic mission? I mean, what can you tell us?
A few years back, I was given, there's another book that I'm writing, but that's been put on hold. But I started that with one of our guides a few years back. And that's our story from the very beginning, from our origins, from the planet that we came from, and even witnessing Earth, the creation of Earth, and all the travel that we've had. And then when we came to Earth, all the lifetimes we've been involved with, because we've been here physically, but we also merge the light beings that we work with. We have a process where we merge. So they merge with Mike, but we've also merged in other lifetimes. And one of the first ones that we've merged with, something that's really going to blow your mind, is I remember you once asking somebody about Princess Meritaten of Egypt, who became known as Scota.
Yes. I saw that in a Robert Sepper Atlantean Gardens production. Yeah.
Well, we actually merged with, if I find it hard to say, we actually merged with Scota and Nile.
Wow.
And we actually did the exile. We traveled from Egypt and through Africa to Spain and to Ireland and then to Scotland.
Wow.
So, and we took the Stone of Destiny to Scotland. This is the first time we've talked about any of this.
Well, thank you. It's an honor. Obviously, we're going to have to do more than one show.
Yeah.
We're going to run right into the next one. We still have an hour and 8 minutes till the next one. I mean, there's so much we could get into. I mean, for me, I mean, and I think a lot of us, there's all this stuff happening. Obviously, all this information's coming in, everything's changing, and there was that part of us that kind of, let's say a year ago, 2 years ago, even a few months ago, that what's going to happen? How's this going to go? And now we're starting to realize it doesn't work that way. And I think, again, you guys have a very unique perspective, first with the simplicity aspect, and secondly, with the information that you've received, not as one person, but as two. I mean, there's of course the chaos on one side and the alignment that's becoming more and more obvious on the other side. How do you see that playing out based on what's been shared with you?
Well, when you talk about chaos, it's been a difficult journey for us, like the last 10 years. Because the reason we wanted to speak now, because it's my 60th birthday next week. And every 10 years I seem to have an important transition. And the important transition that I had 10 years ago on my 50th birthday was just learning about the tribe and meeting them for the first time. And so the last 10 years has been really intense, knowing the tribe, having them come and go. They use Mike's body to come and go and connect with me in the physical.
Wow.
And not just them ancients as well have done that, but it's quite intense for Mike. There's been situations that we've had when we've been away on the travels where the experience has been so intense towards the end that it's really affected Mike physically. It's been a couple of times he's nearly died. Wow. Because of the experiences and how it's affected his body with their energy coming in, because it's such high vibrational energy, but also because Mike's so empathic and tuned into some of the things that we've witnessed. One of the last ones that I've just been writing about was at Battle Rock in Oregon. And we climbed this rock where this battle happened between a tribe and some white people, some soldiers. And Mike felt everything, he saw everything, he smelt everything, and he was just overwhelmed with it. And then we spoke to an ancient while we were on the rock as well, an ancient that we'd met before. And he talked to us about it and about the prophecy, about the rainbow prophecy, and about things coming full circle. But Mike was in a mess for a week after. It actually took him a year to recover from that trip.
Yeah, it did.
So
I'd like to say just one thing before we sort of run out of time. We talk about the tribe being simple in their speech to us, and we do the same. But one of the first things we learned was, of course, it's natural instinct that we want to learn more and we want to do more really quite quickly. And one of our guides just said very quietly, trees don't grow from the top down. And what he was saying, of course, we need to put the roots in, we need to grow, and we need to bond together, we need to stretch out. And we see this, your kindness of allowing us on the show is reaching out our branches, because we feel that we're at that stage now where we can share. Yes. But we were told a long time ago that trees don't grow from the top down. Simple wisdom.
Yeah, it's kind of like a healer can only heal you to the point that they've healed themselves. Like that. Yeah. You can't fake or just be given the embodied, aspect of your journey. These last few years. Yeah. I mean, people talk about grid work. Do you see is there an aspect of grid work when you're going, cross country and going to these different places? I mean, are you aware of anything like that?
I haven't really thought about it deeply, but I suppose we do, because what we get told is we're putting our essence in certain places and making connections, because we've done things here in this country as well, particularly near where we live. And there's connections there as well with what's happened in America, so some of the people here have that, there's connections in other times, and we're being told, you know, obviously linear time doesn't exist, and the times you go through veils between one time into another, and the tribe do that, they can go through those veils, and obviously we can as well. But I get hung up when I get told places to go and things to do, and I want to be able to do it all. You know, it's really important to me that I do everything that we're asked to do. But then if we're not able to do something, then I get reminded, but you've been there, you put your essence there.
Right.
And it's not like we are connecting the dots. But for us, it's here in North America. I don't know if we'll do it anywhere else, but that's important for us to do that, because lifetimes we've had have predominantly been in England and America. There's been some in Europe as well. But you know, it's places where we've made some difference with influential people, or there might be some people who, you know, it can be people of all walks of life where we've had some influence, or we put our essence there to help. We've been involved in, there was one in our last trip where I was asked to slap my hand in the water and get rid of a water serpent. And I've written a story about that, what happened there. There's just so many stories we've got, really, about different things that we've done.
Do you guys have anyone that you can talk to about this, or do you spit? Yeah, I was going to say.
No, we've kept it very much to ourselves, and we find this really hard, because, you know, we're trying to protect ourselves, each other, and also the tribe as well. Because other times when we've done things, we've had to stay quiet. Because in other lifetimes, we've been up at standing stones where we've talked to people and we've healed people. But then we've been hounded, you know, in other centuries, we've been hounded because of our beliefs. You know, there's been many times where Mike's witnessed me being killed, where he's been there to protect me, and he's witnessed me being killed because I'm speaking my truth. So that's why I find it really hard to speak about things, because we've been hounded, and the tribes, all the tribes that we've been connected with have been hounded. Everywhere we go, there's been suffering, or there's been injustice, and that's why we're very protective.
So, and it sounds like you have a pretty good insight into at least parts of the evolution, right? I mean, you talked about the planet that you originated from prior to this, and it seems like there must be a connection between that planet and this particular tribe that you're a part of.
How much time have you got now?
We have, I thought it started in an hour, but it starts, we have 33 minutes. Just keep going. We'll schedule another one before we get off.
Well, the tribe that we're connected with, it's really the star beings. They're a collective, and it's this particular collective of star beings that we originated with, that we traveled through time and space. We've had influence and connections with many planets and star systems, and we've I suppose collected other star beings along the way. So we always think in terms of collective, so it isn't just one.
Yes, that's right.
Race of star beings or one particular tribe.
It's like an energy complex.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the consciousness, the more it encounters, the bigger it becomes, the more that aligns.
Yeah. So this collective are actually one of 32 races of star beings that are watching over Earth.
So there's, because I've heard different numbers about it. So from what you understand, there's 32 races of star beings watching over Earth.
The ones that we know of, we know there's many others.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying.
Yeah. But the ones that we're connected with.
Okay. So you're saying the one you're connected with is a collective or energy complex, and there's 32 benevolent star family races kind of watching over things.
Yeah. And we're going to write about those next time, because we don't know all the information about them yet. we're getting that information given to us. But our collective, they're still around watching over Earth, and influencing and guiding and supporting where to see the need to do it. They are very benevolent, but they have been involved. They have taken action where they've needed to protect Earth. There's been many attacks on Earth over a long time period. There's been quite a lot of action taking place, really.
Over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of people download, post, or do videos, or talk about, in one way or another, things like the quarantine around Earth has been lifted, the reptilian energy's been, is being removed from the planet, the archons, same thing. Our consciousness is expanding. They're not able to feed on us, but basically the gist of it being that things are coming into more and more and more alignment. Is that does that match with the type of information y'all have received in these connections?
The collective that we work with, well, like I say, the one of 32, they have regular councils, just like the tribal councils, and they're helping as much as they can. They are keeping dark ones at bay. They have dealt with a lot of dark ones. I can't say what the names are. We don't get given names, like the archons. We don't get given those names. We just know that there's been dark ones where there's been battles with, over eons of time, that they've dealt with ones that have tried to negatively influence Earth, but there is still negative influence coming through our collective consciousness, and a lot that within the spiritual communities as well. We get fed information as we need to know it, so we don't know everything. We get the information because we couldn't manage all that information. They'll tell us that we're just only now just starting to open up to, and we say we're pretty open, but we're starting to open up from now, really, to receiving more information about what is happening and about our own abilities as well.
Yes, that resonates. Do you feel like that there's been a real increase in the things you just mentioned, like over the last few weeks? I mean, I'm talking about the higher sensitivities, the skills and abilities, coming on board, just the whole reality seeming to take on less of a 3D and more, you can see the higher frequencies. Have you had an acceleration the last few weeks?
The only thing we've noticed, to be honest, is a greater stillness. There's been a greater stillness around, and wherever we've traveled, there's been a greater stillness.
Wow.
But what happens for us is that we get told information, and it's like one little nugget, and then another little nugget, and it's like a jigsaw. And it can be a year or two later that we can see what they're doing is piecing it together. And we're not the dimmest knife in the drawer. So what they do is they help us to take the information at a rate that we can take it.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden we'll put a piece in the jigsaw, an extra piece of information, and we can say, that's why we did that last year. That's why we did that. And then when we've got that piece of information, then we're told a little bit more. Now we actually see the picture, then we can start to do something with that picture then.
Right.
And that might be something that triggers a trip in this country or abroad. So it comes to us in piecemeal, so to speak, but then it all makes sense. So we've got to a point where we don't question it. We just accept it now, and we do what we're asked to do.
Right.
I think over the last couple of weeks, I've just sent a a stillness. That's what I've sensed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We find it hard to comment on really what happens with other people because we're just so focused on what we're doing and what our tribe are doing, really. So we try not to get too involved with what other people are doing. I watch your show, but I find I have to stay, really objective to
Yes.
things because we have to stay focused on where we are and what we're doing, and keep looking forward, because we have a big plan that we're waiting to happen. And my biggest lesson has been patience. I know what I'm meant to do and where we're going, but they keep, like Mike said, they keep telling us we have to do certain things, and we have to be very grounded, to be able to do those things, because if we got too much information too soon, it could send us doolally. So we have to stay grounded.
I think a lot of us can identify with that. I think we all have it in us to say, give me more, give me more, give me more. And you hear people say it different ways, that they can only give you so much at a time. I mean, I think we all argue with them, but they're doing it for our own good, right?
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
But God, I mean, where does, from your perspectives, both of you, where does the Rainbow Tribe prophecy, the prophecies from the sacred books, in other, say, religions that have called this time the golden age, where does all this come together? Do you see any type of relation between, or connection or similarity between what you've been told in regard to the rainbow prophecy, and maybe even what they've told you about what's happening now, in terms of, are we walking into a golden age? Is it already done energetically, or do we still have work to do?
They keep telling us there's a lot of work to be done. The main thing that we have to do is open our hearts, which everybody I know on your show talks about, is being heart-centered and being more unified. And I think that's what I really admire about your show, is, that's what you're doing. You're bringing people together and helping people to, to be true to themselves and to be unified. And that's all they keep telling us. The more that we raise our vibration and the more loving that we are, that's, it's going to happen, but it might be slower than people think. It depends how many people are going to come together and are going to start doing what needs to be done, for everybody to work together and to be more loving towards each other. Yeah. And again, it's just those simple terms we keep getting told is, it doesn't have to be anything mind-blowing. Right. It needs to be heart-centered.
Right. Even like the smallest acts. And then Michael, you were talking about the last few weeks, one of the things the thing that stood out for you was the calmness, the stillness. And there's the metaphor I brought up a couple of times, because people have kind of, in the conversations, you can kind of see it, what you were talking about. And I said, well, it's kind of like being in a Forrest Gump bubble, like where everywhere you go, everything is like the way you described it better, stillness, almost like there's these little cells within the collective cell, where everything abides, that are at such a frequency that they're either not seen or they're impervious to a lower vibration almost. Do you see that happening? Do you see people around the world, depending on their level of frequency, moving into that type of atmosphere where, let's just say, the sphere around them is calm, regardless of what's outside of them? I mean, do you see more people, do you see that there's people out there like yourselves, really?
Yeah, I think the secret, if it is a secret, is really just to know ourselves and to find peace within. And I think one of the things that the pandemic has done has actually educated people the value of nature and own time and getting in touch with your own ecology, your own inner environment inside. And I think if there is anything good that's come out of the pandemic, I think it's that people have got a refocus and a reshift. And I think the more people that can recognize that they have this power or authority or this love within them, and the more they can step into their own love, then the more they're going to give love to other people. And for many years I've worked with people, and I've seen people, I understand people's behavior. And I think if we went through the town, and you can see people are less, lots of people now are less stressed than they used to be. They're not rushing and dashing around as much. They're taking time to talk to each other. People stop and look at flowers and bushes and trees and the clouds and all the wonderful things of creation. And I think if people get a oneness with themselves, then I don't think there is anything else that could happen other than those vibrations merge. And if we all become on the same vibration, then that's got to be a good thing for mankind and the universe and creation and it all, really.
Yeah. And that's what we're being encouraged to do, is look at things a lot deeper. Really look at a flower, really look at a bee or a bird, and really connect with nature. And that's one thing that we're trying to encourage people to do, is that deep connection with nature and with themselves, and see that everything is connected.
Yeah, that's interesting, because that what you just said, Michael, I mean, that was a heart expanding expression. I mean, that really hit the nail on the head. So when we have any type of encounter, whatever clairs are involved, it seems like that there's always that element of a heart to heart kind of thing. Sometimes there's a surrender, but there's always, you know what I mean? It feels good. And obviously there's energetic code that we might not be able to understand right away that's being given to us. But at the same time, there's the guidance of go do this, go do that, go do this, go do that. And I wonder if that's, or these are higher aspects speaking to us through vibration, telling us what to do. Like you go to North America and cross the country twice. I mean, these things that don't make any sense. That's definitely something that many, many people, and more every day, have been listening to. There's got to be some sense to that. There's got to be. I mean, does anybody have the big plan, the big blueprint that shows everybody's travels and guidance?
There's, in the 70s, there was a song by Johnny Nash, and it was, there are more questions than answers. And one of the lines in there is, the more you find out, the less you know.
Yes.
And it's really true words.
Yes, that's right.
I think,
yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. Go ahead.
I think what we need to do is to recognize that there's a word in English called coddywomple. Coddywomple. And basically it means to go on a destination with purpose, but not really know why you're doing it.
So that's what we do.
and that's what we do.
Coddywomple.
Coddywomple. It's an old English word.
Where you been on a coddywomple?
Literally all our trips have been coddywomples.
Yeah, Morgan and I can identify with that. Totally. Even now.
Well, I think it is important that if we're given some information to go and do something,
yes,
then isn't there power in trust?
Yes.
And if you trust a higher force or a higher understanding, and you do it without really questioning, because you've got the trust deep down inside, isn't that a form of love?
That's right.
By doing that, by trusting.
That is it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, yeah, there's a big difference between Morgan and I were talking about this last night. You know, to me, there you can't really describe what we would call what God's love, Goddess love. I mean, love, right? I mean, to me, trust is actually closer to it, because trust is like, there's a big difference between blind faith and trust. Like, you might as well say wishful thinking and trust. Trust is innate. And so like when you guys receive the guidance, for example, even though your human might go, what? or resist, there's something in your human part of you that knows it's right.
It
Wouldn't
is.
you say? Wouldn't you say? Yeah.
I think we actually grow out of that, though. I think when we're kids, then we do that. I remember I was in a swimming pool and I asked one of my daughters to just jump in and I'll catch her. And she couldn't swim. And she didn't hesitate. She didn't hesitate because Dad said, do it, and she trusted Dad.
Yeah.
But I think then, as we get older, then this, we start to filter stuff out. We start to try and make sense ourselves rather than just trusting. And we lose a lot by doing that. But I think the journey me and Cathryn's had,
We're having to learn to do that
is
again.
to start to learn that again.
Yeah.
So we've been treated almost like kids in a simple way.
Well, they've called us kids, haven't they?
Yeah, they've called us kids.
Yeah, if our emotions get in the way, it's like grow up and
You like children.
just do what you're meant to be doing.
Yeah.
Get over yourselves.
I can't even see you guys even like getting triggered or annoyed. I mean, I know we all do. But I mean, because you talked about being grounded a while ago and how they talked about it's important to be grounded. So many people have so many different explanations of that, but it's really the human part, right? I mean, regardless of everything that's happening, like for instance, with you guys, knowing your connection, all these incarnations and all that stuff happening, the guidance and going on these coddywamples, your human is still has to be respected. And I guess like you were saying, Michael, to gaining more and more awareness of yourself, right? Mm. That's always the number one priority.
Yeah. We have to keep growing. Mm. And if we don't grow, we stagnate and then we die.
Yeah.
And, we should grow in experience and knowledge and wisdom and love and all the other things that we should be doing to make us complete, which is what we do.
Do you, have you guys ever had an experience? I mean, I know you've had very, very many, where you just like almost scared, like, holy crap, did that just happen? Where you just, I mean, I know you've had some physical.
More for Mike, I think, because the way it affects him physically, emotionally, and mentally. Mm-hmm. There's been times where I thought I've nearly lost him. There's been about 3 or 4 times.
Wow.
Where I had to really, but one was the worst, and that was in America. No, I was in Canada, I can't remember. But yeah, I've had to ask for our elders. We have a medicine man who comes to us. He actually works on me physically through Mike's body, but he comes to us in our sleep as well. But if anything happens, our medicine man or another elder or older one, who is our higher, as you can tell, older one, the higher one. So many stories to tell, but they will come and they will take over his body and regulate his body for me, stop him dying, basically. But the worst one, I think it was in Canada, where you wanted to give up.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have so many arguments. It's unbelievable how many arguments we have, and we're a lot better than we used to be. We used to trigger each other all the time because we've both got past stuff ourselves in this lifetime as well that we've had to work through together. But this particular time, Mike had been pushed to such a limit with some of the experiences he'd had. And I was never fully aware of how bad it was affecting him. and I pushed him even a bit more and fully triggered him, where he just wanted to give up and he wouldn't have any help. He wouldn't let our medicine man come and help him. And I had to pray. I had to pray that, ask the Creator, you know, to get him to have the help that he needed. And eventually it was almost like the last moment. And we were on a beach by a lake, a reservoir, I think it was, you know, out in the middle of nowhere. And he finally agreed to have some help. And then we just drive away and just get on with going have a meal.
That's the amazing thing in doing this show and just being on the earth, right? In this tribe that we're all in. It's not the off, dimension, off planet. It's not all that stuff out there. It's the fact that you see a person, or in this case, a couple, who are doing the work, and at the same time they're on point with themselves. They're handling their own shift. I mean, that to me is like the greatest effort any of us. I mean, that's huge. I wonder, not to be, the problem child, but these aspects that are communicating with us, we're the ones down here doing it. We're the ones doing it. And I don't know what your experience has been, but what I've picked up on is they have a huge reverence for us. They hold us in a deep honor.
Yeah. I just want to throw something else in, Todd.
Good. Let's do it. We got 5 minutes. But we'll I'll hit you up and we'll do we'll stick something. I want to do some stuff this weekend. Maybe we can get together again. You're
saying about it's the human that's doing it, but for each of us, there's 3 parts to us as well. So we've merged with our star being self, our tribe self, and the human.
Yes.
But both of us have done that. And Mike also hosts the tribes people, which is a star being and a tribes person together who've merged within his physical body. And then he can go off. He goes to the tribe. Sometimes I go to the tribe and do things. So we're also part of the tribe, and we travel back and forwards in our etheric bodies, connected with our light being bodies. It gets complicated.
Yeah. No. I'm amazed. Obviously, we've had some experiences, but it just leveled up again since Morgan went to Australia, and so that's one of my newest and biggest fascinations. With what's happening, what's coming into our awareness is, what are we going to be able to do here? I mean, if you look at the etheric body and the light body, which we've all pretty much run into at some point or another, even if we didn't fully understand it in dimension, dream state, and maybe even sometimes in consciousness, but all that stuff we were doing before we got here. You know what I mean? But have we ever done it when we're in the physical body? Like, can I teleport physically? And I'm heading that way. I think that this is the type of level up of, say, the previous templates that got us to this point. Potential is things like that.
I think there's a point. I think our awareness stops us doing that, because I've traveled and stuff, and
you've shifted in time.
I've shifted, and
I've once or twice, I think. Haven't I?
Yeah. When you say shifted in time, did you feel physically? That's what I was going to say. Physically, you physically shifted, right?
Yeah.
And I think if sometimes we need to close down our analytical bit and just allow things to happen that were able to happen. Sometimes I went through a period where when I woke up in the morning, I'd have scratches on my legs.
Yes.
Or I'd have soil and a bit of fern or whatever it was, but it wasn't from sleepwalking. So
Yeah.
I think if you can get into a particular type of sleep state,
Mhm.
when your conscious analytical mind has calmed down, then I think everything's possible then. So I think
Yeah.
it's this, I think it's the intelligence that can sometimes block us doing what we
The intellect. The
Yeah.
intellect, yeah, versus the intelligence. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm sorry we got a late start. Are you guys interested in getting together again?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like that people need to hear what you got to say, and
Okay.
we want to support you in doing that. And
Thank you.
I also want to thank you both as a fellow human hybrid soul for the work you're doing, because this is what it's all about.
Well, thanks for
Yeah.
having us. Thank you.
It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, I'll take care.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay, I'll see you. I'll reach out to you the next day.